The next question comes from Nick, who says, what to do when you hit a wall with your picking speed? And also, if you notice flaws in your technique that might have developed in the early years, is it a good idea to go back and fix those issues, or to just keep improving with what feels comfortable? Well, it's a combination of both of those things, all right? Everybody's picking technique is a little bit different. So there's always going to be something unique about the way that you actually physically attack the strings. But at the same time, there are fundamental picking technique principles that are universal that everybody has to be aware of. One thing to be very careful of is not comparing your picking technique to any of your favorite players and saying, oh, I'm supposed to do that. I had a student years ago who I nicknamed GIFO, G-I-F-O, which stands for Got It Figured Out, where my poor student would go watch a video of a player that he really liked, and he would notice how they hold their pick or how they strike the strings and say, well, this guy does it this way, so I'm going to play like that. I've got it figured out. And then he would come into the next lesson and say, well, I watched a different video of a different guy, and he holds the pick this way, and he plays with this technique and like that. So now I'm going to play like him. Now I've got it figured out. All right. You don't want to be constantly changing your technique. Yes, there are certain things that you have to be aware of that could always be improved upon if you do have flaws. But if you have a basic technique that's working right now, it's a matter of fine-tuning it. The only way to really fine-tune that kind of technique is to get some feedback from a qualified professional, which is what we are here for, okay? We are here to kind of direct you towards what it is you might need to fix as far as flaws in your playing, but at the same time, that doesn't mean abandon what's been working so far. It's just a matter of fine-tuning it. In my personal experience, I find that when people ask me about picking speed or picking accuracy in general, a lot of times it's actually not the picking technique, it's the synchronization of the pick and the fingers. In other words, something is misaligned. It's not that they can't pick correctly, it's that the motion of their picking and their fretting hand is not really in sync. It's not locked together and ends up sounding sloppy or messy, and then they go, oh, my picking's not that good. Okay, if you really want to focus on developing a super strong picking technique and trying to really feel like you're breaking through those barriers, not only is synchronization a huge deal, but playing with a big dynamic range is also super important. I have people where I say, okay, we're going to pick this one note, and I'll say, okay, play that, just alternate picking on this one note. And I say, okay, now play it really quiet. And they go, and I say, okay, now play it really loud. And they go, all right. Most people have very limited dynamic range until I force them to work on it. So let's say I had this, all right? Let's say I'm, practicing over a pulse or a beat, okay? And let's say I'm just picking eighth notes, all right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I should be able to pick any one note in there and accent it or highlight it, okay? If I was going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and put an emphasis on that. But what about like the and of maybe 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2? I'm striving for rhythmic accuracy while increasing dynamic range so that the music will kind of breathe a little bit more. One of my favorite exercises deals with, and this is a great way to kind of track your speed as well as your rhythmic accuracy, change subdivisions as you're playing over a pulse. Go from eighth note subdivisions to eighth note triplets, back to eighth notes, 16ths, back to triplets, back to eighth notes. So you're changing these subdivisions over a given pulse to feel what different groupings of notes actually feel like as far as your picking technique. If you can combine together synchronization, and once again, I'm not even talking about fretting hand yet. I'm just talking about, the accuracy and developing a really good pinpoint kind of rhythmic approach with the picking hand. Synchronization with the fretting hand is a whole different discussion. I can go into that much deeper down the road, but I would say for now, work on switching subdivisions and then work on dynamic dynamic range. Pick one note in the measure and make that the most important note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And see if you can develop a dynamic range that covers every part of the bar. Because a lot of times, once again, the problem is not speed, it's rhythmic accuracy, dynamic range, and synchronization.